Hi, welcome to this class. Now, in this class, we have the opportunity to basically learn the full outer join. Now, what is the full outer join? Now, in the last classes, we noticed that we had played with the left join and then the right join. What the resultant of using the left join and the right join in the last class basically showed us that for data sets that it's not, when you do not have, when you use a left join, basically you have like basically all the data from the left side and some of the data from the right side. And when you use a right join, it's basically the vice versa. You have all the data from the right side, but some of the data from the left side. So in cases where it is common. Now, in some cases, you might want to have all the data, right? So wherever it is common, you want to have it. And also the cases where it's not common on both sides, you want to have it. This is exactly the definition of the full outer join. So what is the full outer join? Basically, you put in this case, you remove the right join and then you put the full outer join. So now the full outer join is basically like, trying to have everything, right? And so because of that, it's also very important to have the two repo names here. So we put the license repo name here. And then we have all the data set. Now, basically, I could try to read the query again just to make us understand what we are trying to do. SQL is like a language, basically. It's a language, really. It's like English language. So when we read the data, when we read our query, it's very easy to understand and basically tell us if we have some kind of errors. So here we see we're selecting this license. We're selecting repo name from the license table, and then repo name from the sample repos table, and then license from the license table, and then we're basically selecting the watch count from the samples table. And everything is we're just basically selecting it from these two tables that has been joined with a full outer join command. And then we're joining on the name of the repo, right? So this is the idea. This is what it uses to match the two rows. Like in your Excel, it is joining, it's doing like something that we will call like a field lookup. So when we run these two data set, what we get now is a very huge data set, which basically is even going to be higher than this data set, right? So the highest data, this is the highest data set, which is the license, and it has like 3.3 million rows. So what you would have here is now you have 3.5 million rows, or basically 3.6 million rows. Now, this table includes cases that is not available in the basically that is unique to the two tables, right? So it has the cases that is common to the two tables, and then also have cases that is unique to the two tables included. So what you notice is first is you have some cases where it is null here, and then you have a repo name here. So what it's telling us here in the case is this repo name exists in the license table, but it does not exist in the sample table. And that's why it doesn't have a repo name in the sample repo name area, and then it doesn't have a watch count. But this is a case where you have the data set in the both tables, because then you have a full row. So when we scroll down, we notice that, for this, early part of the table, we get everything that comes from the left. And then when we go to the last part of the table, we probably get, some cases where it's basically having data from the right side of the table, which is the sample repos, but we don't have this repo name. This repo name doesn't have a license. It is not included in the license table. And then this basically means that you have a null for the repo name, and also, the repo name from the license side, and also the license is not existent as well. So this is the idea of full outer join. Now, this is a beginner's level class, And so because of this, we will stop at this full outer join. However, there are some other joins that will be introduced in the intermediate course. And I would also like to say that you could join on multiple fields. Now, there are cases where you have to join on multiple fields because maybe these multiple fields are what basically matches the data. So, for instance, if, we have two tables that basically tells you the amount that I have in my account, for instance. And this is one table. And then we have another table that basically tells you the amount of food stuff that I have in my shelf. So basically, if you were to join this table based on my last name, you will basically have some issues because also maybe I share my last name with my junior sister, for instance. And to make some kind of variation, you might have to join on the last name and then the first name in this type of situation. So then you will be able to match for the specific person, you'll be able to match basically you'll be able to attribute the right row to the right person. You might also not want to use the first name because maybe I could have a namesake. But let's just assume that people do not have a complete namesake of first name and then the last name. And in this case, maybe my first name and last name together is unique. And so nobody else could basically bear my first name and last name. And in this case, you would have to join by making the first join. Maybe this is the first name, right? And then you will add an and then do the other join. Basically, you do not have to put the on again. You just include where it equals to. Now, this will be basically covered in the much more intermediate class, but for now, we will just take this as, like the beginner's level, and we will develop with this on next classes. So thank you for being a part of this one. Thank you.